Welcome back to another long night. If you've ever worked the graveyard shift, you know the silence can feel alive. Every flicker, every echo, every car that shouldn't be there stays with you. Tonight, we'll dive into two more true night shift horror stories, where luck and timing made the difference between going home safe or going home not at all. And always remember, stories may sound the same, but not when I tell them. I work the overnight shift at a 24-hour gas station, the kind that sits alone between cornfields and highway silence. It's Thursday night, 2 a.m. The clock hums louder than the radio, and even the soda fridge sounds bored. I've been here less than 2 months. It's slow, predictable, exactly how I like it. That night, though, predictability ran out at 2:30. My coworker Max and his friend Ben dropped by for coffee. They'd taken mushrooms earlier, laughing, harmless, like kids in a field trip gone wrong. Their dog wagged near the door, breaking the stillness. Ben pointed outside. "Hey, that car's been there since we pulled in." A sedan idled with its lights off, engine purring low. When Ben walked over, the driver said, "Just waiting on DoorDash." But I hadn't had an order in 2 hours. They said the man kept looking between them and his phone, tapping like he was texting someone. His face never moved. When Ben asked why he was watching them, the guy suddenly forgot English, then didn't. "Wrong address," he said, and drove off. But as he pulled away, another car rolled in, same model, same dark paint, also without plates. When the first car exited the lot, the second followed close behind. No taillights. Just gone. When Max and Ben drove off, the silence came back sharp. I could hear my own pulse between the hum of the refrigerators. I told myself it was nothing, highway weirdness, late-night nonsense. But I found myself checking the cameras every few minutes, half expecting headlights to crawl back into the frame. Nothing did. Until the next night. 3 a.m. Same shift, same hour. 4 guys came in for snacks, laughing. One asked, "Hey, you know that car parked way down there? Engines running, no plates." My stomach dropped. I looked through the window. Same model, same empty license slot. 2 shapes moving inside. They said the men in the car were arguing, one pointing toward the doors. When the group of customers walked toward them, the driver noticed, threw it in reverse, and peeled off. Second night in a row. Same spot, same car. The men offered to stick around just in case. We sipped bad coffee for 20 minutes while my eyes kept drifting to that corner of the lot, the place just out of camera view. When they finally left, I stood by the door with the mop handle like a spear, watching the fog move. Nothing else happened, but that silence felt different, heavier, like the lot was pretending to be empty. Morning came slow. Nothing on the cameras, no reports, no calls. But I keep thinking, What were they waiting for? Both cars brand new, no plates, blankets in the back seat big enough to hide someone. If Max and Ben hadn't stopped by that first night, maybe I'd be a missing person flyer by now. Sometimes when I clock in, I glance at that dark corner of the parking lot. Even when it's empty, I still see headlights that aren't there. My next few shifts were quiet, too quiet. Sometimes safety isn't when nothing happens. It's when you don't realize how close something almost did.
My name's Daniel. I'm 29, and I work the overnight shift at a small family-owned motel off the highway. It's quiet. 25 rooms, 2 floors, and the same 2 guests who never check out early. The heater clicks every few minutes, and the coffee in the lobby tastes like burnt patience. I usually spend my nights in the back office watching shows on my laptop, the monitor glow keeping me company. But the thing about working alone is silence gets loud. It was around 2 a.m. when I heard the bell. The chime was sharp and clean, the kind that echoes just a little too long. I stood up, stretched, and walked into the lobby. Nobody there. Just the empty chairs, the silent coffee pot, the sound of rain tapping the window. I looked outside, no headlights, no footsteps, nothing. I told myself maybe I imagined it. Then 10 minutes later, it rang again. I walked outside under the awning, scanning the lot. 5 cars parked, all guests, all quiet. No movement. No wind. When I came back inside, I decided to stay behind the desk this time. Just me, the humming lights, and that bell. I tried to shake it off, but there's something about waiting for a sound you can't explain. Your heartbeat starts syncing with it. 15 minutes passed. Just when I started to relax, the bell rang again. This time I saw it. A hand came up from underneath the counter and pressed it. Slowly, deliberately. I froze. The hand disappeared. The chair behind me tipped over when I jumped, and I ran straight to the back office, slamming the door shut. I locked the back door and stared at the monitors. 4 cameras: lobby, hallway, parking lot, stairwell. On the lobby feed, I saw the counter, the bell perfectly still, and then a shadow. Someone's head slowly rose from behind the desk, staring directly into the camera. Eyes caught the light just enough to prove they were real. Then the feed glitched. When it came back, the figure was gone. The knob rattled. Just once. Not frantic. Slow. Testing. Like fingers counting how the metal moves. I backed away from the door, whispering to 911 that someone was inside the building. "Stay in the room," the dispatcher said. I could hear her voice, calm, steady, the kind that's meant for people exactly like me. But calm doesn't reach you when you hear someone breathing on the other side of the door. When I looked back at the monitor, he wasn't at the door anymore. He was walking around the lobby, slow, deliberate. He stopped at the glass doors and stared outside, waiting for something that never came. Then he picked up a brochure from the rack, flipped through it like a bored tourist. When the blue and red lights finally bled across the camera, he turned and vanished from the frame. By the time the officers entered, the lobby was empty. They found a rock by the door, used to keep it open. No broken locks, no sign of forced entry, just rain footprints leading nowhere. One officer said he must have slipped out when they pulled in. I nodded, but I kept thinking, how long had he been under that desk before the first bell rang? I finished the shift, because that's what night clerks do. We stay till morning, even when we shouldn't. Now every time that bell rings, I see that pale hand coming up from the dark. Sometimes, when I walk behind the counter, I imagine someone crouched there, breathing, patient, waiting for me to forget. 2 more stories from the quietest hours of the night. 2 reminders that darkness doesn't always come with footsteps. Sometimes it's already standing right beside you, waiting. If you've ever worked alone past midnight, you know how the silence feels when something isn't right. So lock the doors, check the cameras, and never ignore the sound of a ringing bell. Thank you for watching, and always remember, stories may sound the same, but not when I tell them.